Hello everybody, Jeff from Close to Home in Glastonbury here with the November block of the month. I hope everybody's having a great time. The temperatures are dipping a little bit, but Thanksgiving is just around the corner here. I hope everybody's planning some excellent dinners with their family. It's a great time of year, great holiday. We're going to continue on with our block, Richmond. Here we have our block, Richmond. This one also comes to us from Hearth and Home magazine. Just like last month's Rhode Island block that was part of the state series, Hearth and Home magazine also put out a series for state capitals. So this is the capital of Virginia, Richmond. Very cool block with these nice 4 patches on point. So we're going to get started. Here are the pieces that you're going to cut out for the block. From your background fabric, you're going to cut 2 5-inch squares and 8 1 7/8 inch squares. From your accent, that's my purple here, you're going to cut 2 5-inch squares and 8 3 1/8 inch squares. And then from the tourmaline, you're going to cut 1 4 1/2 inch square and 8 1 7/8 inch squares. With your 8 3 1/8 inch accent squares, you are going to make half square triangles out of them. So you're going to cut all of them from corner to corner and make, in the end, 16 half square triangles. Now time for some of the old familiar half square triangle blocks. So you're going to take your background 5-inch squares and your accent 5-inch squares, put them right sides together. You can mark a line from corner to corner, and you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch on each side of that marked line. Cut down the marked line and press those seams either toward the background fabric or open if you prefer. And then make sure you trim those squares, the square blocks, down to 4 1/2 inches. Next, we're going to make some 4 patch blocks for the middles of our on point sections. So you're going to take your 8 1 7/8 inch tourmaline squares and pair each one with a 1 7/8 inch background square. And you're going to sew those in pairs, so you're going to get 8 total pairs. And then you're going to combine them just as shown to make a 4 patch block. So you're going to sew those together and you will end up with 4 patch blocks that look just like this. Next, we're going to make our on point squares with the 4 patch in the middle. But first, we want to mark the midpoints of the half square triangles that we cut earlier. So take those half square triangles, fold them in half along that long end so that you can make a crease, and then you can make a little mark, and that's going to help us as we line them up onto the 4 patches. And here you can see how we line them up. So we take those half square triangles, match the midpoints. I like to do them, as you can see, 2 at a time on opposite sides. So I pin those together, sew my 1/4 inch seam, and then iron those toward the triangles, or open if you prefer. And then do the same thing with the other 2 sides. Sew your 1/4 inch seam after lining up those midpoints and iron those toward the smaller triangles or open. You will then make sure that it is 4 1/2 inches square here, so make sure you trim this down if it is too big. The half square triangles are a little bit oversized. When you trim this down to 4 1/2 inch square, make sure that you leave a 1/4 inch for a seam between the point of your 4 patch block and the edge of the block. Now we just put everything together. So you're going to take those 4 square and a square 4 patch we just made, your 4 half square triangle blocks, and for the center you're going to use your 4 1/2 inch tourmaline piece. And you're going to arrange them just as shown on the screen. You're going to sew those rows together, and then you're going to sew the columns together. And there you have our block for this month, Richmond. Thank you so much for joining me. The next block will be out December 27th. So everybody have a very happy Thanksgiving, a wonderful holiday season, and I'll see you in December.